Okay, let's do this one more time. 1 year ago, I made my first video essay talking about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies in the hopes of exciting people, and it kind of worked. And since then, I've been making more videos talking about movies and shows and whatnots that I have strong opinions on. But I want to come back to the Spider-Man movies and give them real videos. And now that's what I'm doing. If you want to hear my thoughts on the Raimi movies or the Amazing movies, those videos are out, and now we're finally getting down to the MCU. So initially I started this video with a rant about these movies are probably the hardest to just jump right into. You're probably going to need a lot of prior knowledge of the MCU and also with No Way Home, all the other Spider-Man movies. And initially the rant was longer than it ever needs to be. So I figured I'd mention it here real quick. These ones probably require the most prior knowledge of other movies, but I assume if you're here and you're watching them, you have enough of an idea what's happening. So it's probably not a real problem for anyone. Anyway, let's get into Spider-Man Homecoming. Released in 2017, it was Spider-Man's first solo adventure in the MCU. And it was fun. We got a younger cast, so they can play young and they can be in high school longer, and we get all the fun high school shenanigans like field trips and dances and detention, and your girlfriend's dad being a criminal. All of the classic high school problems. In the very well-established world of the MCU, I thought a simpler story was absolutely the way to go, and I love seeing Spider-Man not deal with ridiculously absurd city-destroying catastrophes. And not because I don't love those, because I absolutely do still love those, but there's just something nice about hey, there's a bad guy, go stop him, right? That's all the movie was. It was simple and fun and just really easy to watch. But there were a few moments that actually hit pretty hard. The two that I think of are when Tony essentially fired Peter from being Spider-Man and when Peter went back and told May. And the other one's when Peter's trapped under the rubble and he's crying and then he hears all the voices, and that's great. I do think a big reason these moments hit so hard for me is it's probably Tom Holland, but I do also want to acknowledge and appreciate everyone's performance in this movie. Right? Tom Holland just has a lot of range to work with, and he can really play with the emotions of this Peter. He can be awkward, he could be quippy, he can be sad, he can be really excited. He just does such a great job at being this younger, little more immature, more childish version of Peter than what we normally see from the live action stuff. And then you get the complete opposite of him, which is Michael Keaton's Vulture, who is confident and intimidating and terrifying. And it's all those elements that come together to make the moment. All of the MCU Spider-Man movies have the moment, and I guess you could call it a twist. I don't really like calling it a twist because I feel like all of these are very predictable. I feel like twists are very unpredictable, but these moments are all it's the moment where the movie really changes and takes a turn. So I just call it the moment, right? But the moment in Homecoming is when Peter essentially, he got fired from being Spider-Man and he's finally doing stuff with his personal life and he's about to go to the dance with his crush, and then the second the door opens and it's Adrian Toomes, the moment starts. Peter is terrified, and we as the audience are right there with him. And realistically, at any point, Peter could take him down, but it's because of how confident and intimidating Vulture is, Peter can't do anything. And the moment continues to the car ride as Toomes is kind of piecing everything together. Oh, hey, you kind of seem familiar, and like I know you from somewhere, and oh, you work for Tony Stark, huh? That's crazy. And oh, you're conveniently gone every time Spider-Man shows up, huh? And then the light turns green and it's oh, he knows. But we're still not done yet because Liz gets out of the car and it's just Peter and Vulture pulls out the gun and just lays it all out. The moment it keeps going all the way up until Peter walks into the dance and decides, no, I need to go after him. God damn, it was just so good. And all the acting was just on point. And to keep going with that and just talk about everyone else in the movie, I love Marissa Tomei in this, and I love that her May is just she's trying to be this fun aunt to Peter, but she can't help being a mom to him. I thought Jacob Batalon was great, and he had such a fun dynamic with Tom's Peter, and it's really nice to just see Peter have a friend, right? Not exclusively love interests, and not friends that hate him, but just like a friend. It's really nice, really fun to see. I thought Laura Harrier played exactly the kind of Liz that we needed, right? She is the pretty girl that everyone has a crush on because she's really pretty and smart and cool. But what do we actually know about her personality? Does she and Peter actually have anything in common? Right? She serves the purpose of she's a high schooler's crush, and she does great. And real quick, I'm gonna go on a bit of a side tangent here, because I think with where No Way Home left off, something fun that they could do is I would love to see them bring back Liz but as Black Cat. I feel like she meets the criteria with like a criminal dad, and maybe she just like found his bag of crime stuff and she just starts doing crime like her dad. And I mean, she already has an established relationship with Spider-Man, right? We know Liz was always interested and liked Spider-Man. And with this Peter currently not in a relationship, I think now would be a good time to play with more love interests like Black Cat. I also think she said in an interview she'd be interested in that, so I'd love to see that. Anyway, let's talk about Peter's real love interest in this trilogy of movies and how she didn't need to be in this one, right? You could have taken her out, and I don't think I'd notice. And real quick, I'm not trying to hate on Zendaya. I'm not. I'm specifically pointing out that she did nothing in this movie. And so many people pointed out it's kind of weird how Peter is so madly in love with her at the start of Far From Home when he never talked to her ever. Now, I personally cannot be on that side of the argument because in high school, I basically fell for anyone who was willing to talk to me, so like, I get it. But from a storytelling perspective, my pitch would have been that at some point in Homecoming, have Peter and MJ talking. Could be about whatever. Probably Liz, but at the end of their conversation, just have Peter kind of look at her and be like, "Oh, thanks, MJ," and she just kind of looks at him because she's still going by Michelle at this point. And Peter looks back and is like, "Not a fan of nicknames." Huh, okay. And then they go their separate ways or whatever. But then you have the moment at the end where, oh, look, Michelle's the new team captain, and the scene essentially plays out the exact same. Oh, my friends call me MJ. And then you'd have, Ned talking to her. I thought you didn't have any friends. She's like, I don't. But then Peter would have heard her say, my friends call me MJ, and like he would look up at her and she would kind of look up at him. I think that would have absolutely been enough to be like, there it is. You see, he does like her, and she obviously likes him. But yeah, no, I really like Homecoming. I know everyone's always kind of mad about like, it has no consequences, blah, blah, blah. I'm okay without him. He went on his journey. He earned the suit. It's fine. I had fun. And I wasn't hung up on the lack of Spider-Man having his life ruined by the end of the movie. Now, I am very interested to see how people feel about my thoughts on Far From Home, because for me, Far From Home is my least favorite Spider-Man movie. Not because it's the worst, because it's not the worst Spider-Man movie, but for me, it is so just fine, just whatever. It's, for me personally, the least entertaining one. I just don't care. I would rather watch any of the other Spider-Man movies over this one. That's why it's the bottom of my list. Like, I think back to the first half of the movie, and it's just so nothing. And that might be the point because of the whole, like, Mysterio twist reveal thing that's going on in the movie, but still, like, it's just so, I don't care. Even all the fun high school shenanigans we had in the first one just don't feel as fun in this one. And I think it's because, a lot of the kind of high school elements are this weird love triangle that even to the movie does not matter. At a point, Brad he's no longer a character. There is nothing with him. There's no arc, right? There's nothing there. He is just another guy who has a crush on Zendaya. Congratulations, you are everyone else. Like, she is clearly not into him. She is clearly way more interested in Peter. It's not even close. And of course, we can't not talk about it. Because of him and the fact that he took a picture of Peter with his pants down. Peter does the whole, oh, I'm accidentally calling in a drone strike on my bus. I hate that scene so much. It's so dumb. The only thing that scene really does is just, it's a way to let the audience know, hey, Edith can control all these drones. That's all that scene is, and it's bad. But for the actual story of the first half of the movie, it's stupid. And by it, I mean very specifically Nick Fury. And I know, I've clearly seen the movie. It's not real Nick Fury. I said this when I saw the trailer. I said this when I saw the movie. I will say this to the end of time. I don't care. It's a fake Nick Fury. What did you think was gonna happen when you sent Spider-Man to fight the Avatar? What? What do you think he's doing to fight water or fire? He shoots webs? And he's sticky. Why are you being such an asshole to this kid when he can't really do anything to help you? He can move civilians. That's about it. You don't need Spider-Man here. You are unnecessarily being a very rude person to this 17-year-old or however old he is, who has just helped save the Earth and watched his mentor die. You're a terrible person, fake Nick Fury, and I hate you, and you're dumb. And again, I think the point of the first half of the movie is to be, like, really weird because, of course, I'd say about halfway in, we get the moment. Peter hands over the Edith glasses, he walks out, the bar starts to change, And Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, who, by the way, is incredible. I do love him, and I love that he played an actor. He played two very different roles in this movie, and he played them so well, at least the first one, that even knowing Mysterio's a bad guy, I'm still looking at this guy, I'm like, he's doing a really good job being a good guy. And then the turn happens, and he's a really bad guy. He does great with both sides of that role. Loved him. But it's still just the moment of, like, he gets up and he's like, we did it, yeah! And you know, everyone wants him to give a speech, and he does, and we start to go around the room and be like, look at all of us, we worked together for this, and look at all these people that wronged us, we're getting them back. Like, it's incredible. Tonally, it's just so different from the moment from Homecoming that it's so good, but it still does effectively the same thing. It is the moment where the movie takes its biggest turn and really starts to get going. And I do think that everything after the moment, it's good. It is by no means bad, but I don't really think it's great. If there's anything that is great, it's probably the Mysterio fight scene with all the illusions. That one was a lot of fun, and it's still really good to watch. And it ends with a pretty brutal shot of Peter getting hit by a train. And I do like all the stuff with Peter not really knowing what to do right now. You know, not knowing how to be the next Iron Man. And I do like the little talk he had with Happy. And then, you know, everyone has their thoughts on, like, well, afterwards he just did all the Iron Man stuff. Yeah, they're not wrong. I thought the final fight was fine. I didn't like how often we cut over to not Spider-Man. Is it just to really let us know, like, oh, this is real. They're in danger. It's like, are they, though? You gonna kill Zendaya? Didn't think so. But speaking of Zendaya, this is the movie where she really kind of gets to shine, really gets to be a part of the movie. And I like her. I really do like this version of MJ. I like that they tried something new. I like Zendaya's performance. I like how confident she can be at times, and other times she's just like, you know, because she's still a high schooler too. You know, it's all fun. I enjoy her dynamic with Peter. I think their flirting is, you know, it's very high school, it's very cute. It's continuing the kind of fun that I think these MCU Spider-Man movies want to be. The last thing I want to bring up with Far From Home, they did something real weird with Flash's character that I can't get over. All right, there are like two moments. There's one that's very easy to miss, because it's when Peter has the Edith glasses, he's scanning all the phones. He sees Flash is trying to text his mom. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, fun little detail about Flash, and we can move on, because it's a side thing. He's looking over everyone's texts at that time. He's looking over everyone's phones. But then later, we get a very specific scene where it's when everyone's coming back to New York, and Flash meets up with his, like, driver, and is like, oh, mom couldn't come? And it's like, there is something with Flash and, like, his mom neglecting him, or something of that manner, that goes nowhere. Like, it would have been fine if it was just the one thing of, like, oh, it's on his phone, like, with his text. They made a dedicated scene that they didn't delete. Like, it's in the original cut of the movie, so it's meant to be something. I feel like this and a lot of other things in this movie are just so not actually important or anything, and you could cut them and the movie would be just fine without them, but they put them in anyway, and now it's just weird. And because it's not doing anything, it's boring. It's not really entertaining. It's just a thing. It makes the movie fine, but doesn't make me want to rewatch the movie. Like, you put Spider-Man 3 in front of me any day of the week, I'm watching it, because it's a mess, but it is great. And this just doesn't really do, like, anything for me. Now, for No Way Home, I'm gonna, like, really get into my thoughts on No Way Home, and I'm gonna do it kind of chronologically with the movie. And so all I'm gonna ask is that you stick with me, okay? So No Way Home starts, and it's the end of Far From Home. And I hate these titles because I keep in my head, like, whenever I go to say them, I always say the wrong one first, and I hate it. But we're starting with the big reveal. Spider-Man has killed Mysterio, and Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And the world very quickly turns on Spider-Man. Why? He is an Avenger. You people were looking to him as if he was the next leader of the Avengers. You have known of Spider-Man for a very long time. You should absolutely trust that Spider-Man, like, he is a good guy. You heard of Mysterio 2 weeks ago, okay? He was never in New York. Why in the world does everyone love and trust Mysterio? He just showed up one day and started saying things like, Spider-Man is an Avenger. He worked with Iron Man. People, there are witnesses to what he has done. It's just, why? And that's not even evidence. That is not proper evidence. You never actually showed his face in the costume. You didn't even pretend to deep fake it. You did not do that. How did this shot get in Venom? What is that? How did that get there? Like, it's so weird to me that they just have the world completely turn on Spider-Man without any kind of proper evidence. It's especially weird when the government does it. The government, who has no records of Mysterio, they know nothing. They're literally going off of the word of a man they have never met, saying Spider-Man tried to kill a bunch of people and killed me, and it's Peter Parker. And, Spider-Man tries to be like, guys, come on, Nick Fury was there, ask him. And Stewie from Succession rolls up and is like, oh, that's funny, because Nick Fury's been in space. And now I'm lost, okay? How are you high enough ranking to know that Nick Fury is in space? Spider-Man's not. Spider-Man is not high enough ranking to know the real Nick Fury was in space. But you are not high enough ranking to know that there is a fake Nick Fury running around. Or is fake Nick Fury not actually working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.W.O.R.D. and whatever? Is Talos working completely on his own? Like, he calls Nick Fury. He can't just be working on his own. He has to be working with Nick Fury. So there's a group of people who know Nick Fury is in space. Real Nick Fury is in space, but not that there's a fake Nick Fury running around. But fake Nick Fury is running around working with real Nick Fury. I can't do. We are 5 minutes in. And I can't. Okay. Daredevil comes in. Super cool. Love him. Love that he's back. Love that he is just like, the law says you're good because of course you are. There was no real evidence. But now people are gonna hate you because people suck. And that's what they do. They hate him. They don't let him into college, which is stupid. Whatever. Peter has a pretty good idea here. He's like, hey, I'm going to go to my friend, Doctor Strange. We saved the world together. I'm going to see what he can do. And Doctor Strange is like, nothing I could do. There's something I could do. And he just starts doing it. And it's like, my guy, did you not think to really like, hey, everyone's going to forget who you are. Are you sure you want to do this? This man did not for a second actually think like that. He's just like, yeah, we're doing it. Nice knowing you. What do you mean you didn't want everyone? You ruined my spell. You're terrible. You have very quickly become my least favorite person in the MCU. And it's because the spell goes wrong. We start getting villains from different dimensions. And there's a whole other thing that we will get into eventually. But right here, right now, Doc Ock fight's cool. Fun to have Goblin back. We go back to Doctor Strange and he's like, this is all your fault again. And it's like, my guy, it can't be. It can't. You did the spell. You started it. I'm going to be mad about it the rest of the movie. So then it turns into this like, hey, go find the people from the other dimensions and bring them here, lock them up. How do we know who is and isn't from a different dimension? Because the MCU, like this world, this Earth in the MCU, 1999999 whatever, is full of insane, just like powered up people. There is no actual way to be like, that's gotta be from a different dimension. Like, no, it doesn't. There could absolutely be a lizard running around New York. What are you talking about? Yeah, these guys run around New York. Why couldn't there be a lizard? Shut up. Bunch of sand movement. That was what Mysterio was doing. Come on. You can't possibly know that that's not... Whatever. He's going around, he's grabbing them all. He goes to get Goblin from May, and they have this conversation with May, where May's like, you still have to help these people. And Peter's like, no, I don't. Like, it's not my problem. And she's like, yeah, it is. You got your power or whatever. But that all got in his head. That all got in Peter's head. He goes to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange's like, cool, we're going to send him home. And he's like, no, wait, I can save them. No, you can't. Shut up. They have a really cool fight scene. Love all that. Peter wins. He goes back in. He's like, guys, I want to try to cure you all. I want to save your lives because I'm a good guy. And they're like, weird, but sure, why not? And Peter, this dumb boy, is like, I'm going to release these 5 very evil people who have all tried to kill me now. We're going to go to Happy's apartment. And it's like, guy, just bring the Fabricator back to Doctor Strange's dungeon and do things there one at a time. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? All right, let's talk about the villains now. I think Willem Dafoe's Goblin and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock are perfect. They are exactly how they were in their movies. They were perfect then. They're perfect now. That is not the same Electro. That is not the same Max. That is a completely different person, and I kind of hate it. Sandman and Lizard have no reason to be here other than they wanted the numbers and the cameos. Also, I forgot to bring this up earlier, but there was the weird thing of like, yo, they all died. They didn't all die. Shut up. And also, God damn you. Doc Ock points out, he's like, the Green Goblin's Norman Osborn, I know that. How? Was that public knowledge to you? When did that become public knowledge? Because if so, Harry should have known that his dad was the Green Goblin. Harry shouldn't have been mad at Spider-Man. The entire Oscorp company should have gone down because the man became a terrorist. Like, that breaks everything. I don't think anyone actually went back and watched those movies before making this one. I'ma say it right now. I don't think they did. But we're at the condo and he's curing him, and guys, I'ma be honest here. This ain't it. I'm sorry. Whatever this movie is doing, whatever this movie has been doing for the last hour and whatever, it's not it. The cameos are cool, they're fun, but my God, it's just not happening. What's happening? What is this? Hold on. Shut up. Wait, is this it? Oh my God, this is the moment. Oh my God, it's the moment. We get the moment, and it's my favorite one. It's this tense moment. I love how they're showing. I love the cinematography around the spider sense. I love we get to see what it's actually doing. He can't tell because there are currently 4 people around him who I am very sure are willing to murder him still. And the most important person in Peter's life, all in the same room. And something is happening. And he webs Goblin, the Goblin comes back out. I thought I liked Jake Gyllenhaal playing 2 roles as that Mysterio. Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin. Oh my God. And the fight starts and Goblin starts throwing hands. And this is everything, okay? Having Willem Dafoe back as Green Goblin here with all the fun new tips and tricks, this is a perfect remastering of a character in a movie. This is how we're meant to feel every time Green Goblin is on the screen in Spider-Man 1. This is it. And it's incredible. Not to mention, we get rid of everyone else very quickly. Electro shoots Doc Ock out the building. Sandman just leaves. Electro leaves. For some reason, Lizard pops up at some point, is like, this is what you get, and then leaves. But it's the fight between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. The violence and the weight of this fight is so vicious, and I can't take my eyes off it. And ending it with killing Aunt May. Green Goblin kills Aunt May and gets away. And that moment when Peter's holding Aunt May, it is painful. We are at such a goddamn low point. We need something to pick us back up. We need something good. And getting Andrew and Toby back, it got me, man. I love that they weren't just shoehorned in cameos. They weren't just whatever. They actually played a pretty important role to the movie. And they didn't feel too off. I feel like Toby nailed it. I think that is exactly where that Spider-Man would be. I think they had a little more Andrew than Peter in his, but I still think it was fun. I still think it worked. And all of their conversations, all of the Spider-Boys conversations were so fucking fun, so entertaining, so enjoyable, just so heartwarming to see all my Spider-Men just talking, just shooting the shit, just having fun. It's hard not to have fun. But we get to the end, they do the fight scene, all that, Doctor Strange is back, blah, blah, blah. They cure all the villains, by the way. Good on them. There's no proof that actually works. By the way, still, there's no proof. The sky's breaking open. They're like, what do we do? Peter goes to Doctor Strange. He's like, what if everyone forgot who I am? What if no one knows who I am? That would work, right? And Doctor Strange's like, yeah, that would work. What? Why is that how that works? If you forget that the Green Goblin existed, does that mean May didn't die? What are you talking about? I've been doing this the entire movie of looking at it and then actually saying, no, that's not how that works. No, none of this actually works. And I just need to shut up. Because that's not the point. I need to stop looking at all that and actually just look at what is all of this doing to Peter? What is Peter actually going through throughout the entire movie? How is he affected by everything? How is he feeling? And my God, Peter is getting annihilated in this movie. And he is still, for the most part, being a good guy. He's still trying to help these people. In the end, he does genuinely help everyone, including the Goblin who killed his aunt, the most important person to him. He still made an incredibly selfless choice to say, I will lose everything. Not that I have much to lose, I will lose everything if it means everything goes back to how it should be. He is making a sacrifice, like a hero would. I think that's how most people view Spider-Man, is that's what he would do no matter what. And everyone forgets him. It's very sad. He's living on his own now, but he still puts on a Spider-Man costume, and he still gets out there. And it's hopeful, really. The ending is hopeful. And it makes me very excited to see what happens next. Where do we go with this guy? This doesn't feel like an ending. This very much feels like a beginning. And as weird as it is that the symbiote stayed when Eddie left and all that, dog, this is all I want. I just want to see a symbiote on a Peter at his lowest point. I want to see this guy even angrier. Now, I do also want to bring up, I'm pretty sure this movie was planned out very differently. Like, probably for a while, it was intended to do something completely different. And then I think some green lights started happening with a lot of the actors, and they probably just threw this at John Watson, was like, hey, do this now. And I'm sure that was not easy. I'm sure that's why a lot of the logic is kind of missing of like, dog, we did not have time. They wanted this out as soon as possible. So we put it out as soon as possible. And we just couldn't figure out some stuff. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they get the emotions out, they get the feelings out. I just think there are a few spots of logic in the actual story that are weird, but I'm gonna give it a pass just because of what this movie was actually able to give us. And I do also want to point out the Spider-Man game also killed Aunt May and kind of set up for the symbiote, so like, you know, just kind of copying that, I guess, but you know, whatever, fine, cool. It's an interesting place to put Spider-Man. Okay, bye.